Hello everybody and welcome to Limitless Gaming Esports coverage of our new league, our new Thursday league that we're starting this season. It's got a bit of a different format than Monday and Tuesday, but I'll go on to explain that shortly. My name is Big Weir, aka Jason. Got a couple of other nicknames in the chat, but that's NSFW. But we're here in Mexico as these guys go on. What this format will be is their one-shot qualifying for a sprint race, which will set the grid for our full race session. So let's keep an eye on these guys. We've got 5 different teams, all, as you might recognise, they are in fact not the usual Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, Red Bull. They're all custom teams that we're running in this league. So, the car we're looking at now, Friar Tuck's driving, this is Toyota. They're all jumping up and down quite hectically, but as we would expect in one-shot quality. But this is the Toyota team. My personal favourite of the 5. We've got the lovely, if I can switch on it because they're jumping around like crazy, we've got Monster Energy Racing. The green and black livery looks quite... Oh, as Mr. Basil gets the back end out of that corner. Quite a striking livery, quite sharp. You'll find it hard to miss that one. Up next we have Lewis F1. This is the livery we seen at the start with Dalsy. This is the Bentley Motorsport Racing Team livery. The camera angle's not doing us justice right now. And we have the Ford livery, as we can see, with Kingsholm. And Kingsholm seems to have had a bit of a shocker there. He's been disqualified from his qualifying session. Always a risk with one-shot quali. The last team I didn't talk about there was Porsche. Porsche Racing Team's livery, Q-Mancer. You may have noticed he was in a black livery. That was the Porsche livery, but we'll see that very shortly. So there's our one shot. Merv Martin, one of the new guys to the league, already shown his pace. He is in pole position for Toyota. King David in Monster Energy in P2, followed by Battles Mini and Illy in P3 and 4. Dazzy in P5, racing for Bentley, and Q-Mancer in the Porsche gets P6. Lucas, Shugs, Robin and Mr. Basil round out the top 10, with Friar Tuck and Lewis in P11 and 12, and the only person to invalidate their lap was Kingsholm in the Ford. So like I said, we had to start quite quickly there because with one-shot quality it's a little, what's the way to put it, a little quick, and I haven't really got much time to explain the format of this league. But basically, we've got 5 teams. Each team has 4 drivers racing for it. And the idea basically is that this championship is actually split up into different pots. So drivers will receive points for every position as opposed to the top 10, which is a bit different from what we're used to. But we're trying to mix it up, make it a bit spicy. But these guys have been split into pots based off on their ability. You know, the top pot 1 will be what tends to be the quicker drivers. Pot 2, pot 3 and pot 4, all in order of rough ability. Say rough ability. So after a few races we'll end up with you know, you can be promoted and relegated. I was going to say demoted, but relegated from the pots. So the top 2 in each pot will jump up. The bottom 2 from each pot will move down. There's 5 people in each pot, and basically you just want to outscore the people in your pot so that you can get promoted. But yes, we'll look at the team that we didn't get a glance at. So this black one here, it's kind of black and gold, with Q-Mancer here. This will be the Porsche livery. Now, those keen-eyed of you will notice that Lucas is in this white livery. So just to make it nice and easy for you guys to spot, this will be the reserve livery for this season, just so we can tell them apart. So Lucas is the only reserve we have here today. We had a couple more due to join us, but unfortunately due to connection issues and other commitments they couldn't join us today. But Yeah, so a couple of guys to watch for here. Really, I suppose that we should look at the different pots. So, in pot 1 at the moment, I'll just get them up here. Pot 1, so the top 5 drivers in pot 1, we've got James Biscuit, who was unable to attend today, Dazzy in the Bentley, who qualified in P5, Merv in the Toyota, he qualified P1, so it's a great result for him, King David in P2 in the Monster Energy car, and Kingsholm in the Ford, unfortunately disqualified from his qualifying lap. And as I say that, we've got Mr. Basil and Friar Tuck disqualifying themselves from the formation lap. Not doing anyone any favours, guys. Oh, and we've got a Monster Energy car around in the stadium section. Is it King David? Manages to dodge the cars. I suppose that's one way to warm up your tyres. You may as well do a burnout for the crowd. Nice one. But yeah, so those are the guys in the top pot. Next up we've got I'm trying to think of who the guys here. Lewis F1 is the top of pot 2 at the minute. He's starting P12. Not a great qualifying lap for him. Battles Mini in the Monster Energy car. He's in pot 2 with Q-Monster as well, who's also here in the Porsche. Pot 3, Barry would be top 3, and when I say Barry, we all know how much I love Mr. Basil. Down there in P10 in the Monster Energy. But we'll get back to that as we're going to go to the race start. As we get 4, 5 red lights, and let's see what sort of a start everyone gets. Merv Martin has been known to... Whoa, we've got a bit of a collision at the back there. I'm not sure what that was about. Merv Martin gets away well, though. We've actually got a yellow flag in sector 3, and we haven't even made it that far yet. We have a DNF. Lewis and Q-Mancer have not got away. A virtual safety car straight away. I'm not sure what happened there. It looked a little bit ropey. See if I'm saying anything. But we're straight away with a full safety car straight away. Not sure what happened. Looked like someone didn't get away well at the start and straight into the back of the car in front. No update on what happened there yet in the Discord, but we'll keep you noted. Robin has left the session. Lewis has written in saying that someone forgot to go at the start, so of course this is just the sprint to set the qualifying grid, so he'll be back for the full race, of course. Let's get the track map up so we can see what's going on. We've got a full safety car in the sprint race. Didn't even get away, didn't even get out of sector 1, I believe that was. Shug's Life has managed to get himself up to P1. I'm not sure what that's about. Harry's managed that, but he's done it. Oh, have we got a little bit of a glitchy lobby? I think we do, because he's definitely not P1. He's sitting down there and I think we got a laggy boy. So looking on the screen, of course, Merv Martin's actually P1. Battles Mini in P2. Shug's Life has in the pit lane. Yeah, we got a laggy boy here. Big time laggy boy. Not sure what is going on there. Kingsholm had the pit for a new front wing. Of course he's not losing out here because he started at the back anyway. He gets fresh tyres, fresh wing, doesn't have to pit stop again. If he really wants to go for it. A bit of long stint in those offs to go to the end, but Shug's Life now driving the wrong way in the pit lane. Not sure what is going on with him, but definitely some connection issues going on there. Still said he's in first place also. I'm not sure what's going on, but as we can see, Merv Martin in the Toyota. Again, I'll say it, I think that livery is sexy. It is gorgeous on that car. Very, very similar to what the F1 team was in real life. Some also say it looks kind of similar to the old Ferrari when they had Santander as sponsors, but I'm seeing more of a Toyota vibe than Ferrari personally. But yeah, let's have a look at who has gained and who has lost from the start. So Robin's a big gainer, he's up 5 positions. Shug's Life seems to have settled, he's back down, his internet's now allowing him back down to P10. He's pit for the hards. He's starting to get... He's planning to go to the end. I'm just looking there. It says he's up 2 positions, but I'm not sure. There's maybe some connection issues going on with him. Kingsholm's now coming up as a lap down, but I don't think that is correct. But we all know what this game is like. A lot of glitchy, a lot of issues with it at the minute. It wasn't this bad when it first started, in my opinion, but it would seem it is. Lucas, the reserve, has pit for softs. I'm assuming this is strategic because he wants to go to the end. Lucas showing his ability to manage tyres on Monday, I believe it was. So I imagine, is it softs, is it hards? It's hard tyres for Lucas. I'm surprised at that. Shug's Life has left the session. I'm assuming that's a disconnect. We've seen what his internet was doing for him there. All the drivers starting to try and get their tyres warmed up before the restart. It's just querying whether it's all glitched or not. I think it has settled itself though. Robin's just asking there, Robin and P4 at the minute for Bentley, asking if it's all glitched, but I think it's all good from what I can see now. Seems to have settled itself. But yeah, I think Lucas is an avid watcher of the live stream, so we'll see. The Shug's Life car, so he's disconnected. He might try and rejoin. Just in front of Lucas as I talk about him. Safety cars in this lap. Interesting to see some of the guys stop, and King David, another one who stopped as well. Shug's Life got reconnected. King David's opted for the medium tyres for the rest of his stint, so we'll have a pace advantage at the start here over the guys behind him, but I would say towards the end of the stint those mediums are going to die off. But let's see, we'll go back to the front as they come out of the stadium. Merv Martin in that Toyota gets ready to pull the trigger and try and catch out some of the guys behind him, and he's done it. He's rounded into the pit lane, he's lost traction on the exit. Battles Mini has moved up into P1. That was so unfortunate. He's actually spun into the pit lane and pit for the hard tyres. Battles Mini is now leading the pack with Dazzy and Robin closely behind. So naturally after the safety car there could be a little bit of, as Mr. Basil calls it, touchy. I thought I seen a Ford colliding at the back there, but all seems to be quite sensible. King David's already made up a position on Friar Tuck. He's going to want to try and hold on to those guys at the front because he knows they are going to have to pit, and he's got the advantage at the minute, so keep an eye on him. The battle at the front, Battles Mini starting to pull out on Dazzy in behind. Robin kind of looks like he's getting caught up in that dirty air at the minute. He's lost it. He's lost the back end through that tricky middle sector. Has managed to keep it. Looks okay. Looks like there's no damage. And no safety car, thankfully. Merv Martin still in the back there. He's got some time to make up, and that penalty of 3 seconds for corner cutting is not going to help him. Battles Mini, as we go on to lap 5, sets the fastest lap. Wouldn't have been too hard anyway, considering most of this race has been under the safety car so far. He's out in front. Dazzy looking very threatening in behind, so we'll keep an eye on these two. Also, we've got Illy in the pits. He must have had some sort of damage, or he's just pitting purely for strategy. Dazzy gets a 3-second penalty for the corner cutting. Track limits traditionally very harsh on this track. Illy's decided to pit for the mediums. I don't think he had any, as there's been a move. Dazzy's managed to get round Battles Mini at the front. Now he needs to pull that gap. He knows he's got the 3-second penalty unless he can pressurise the guys behind him and force them into a mistake, but that's kind of difficult to do whenever you're in front of everyone else. Battles looking quite racy in behind him there as well. Yellow flag in sector 2, not sure what's happened. I think it's Friar Tuck's round. A lot of the guys having difficulty in that middle sector. He's got no front wing, so he's going to have to box this lap. Not helping his qualifying at all, but luckily this is, if you're going to make a mistake, this is the time to do it, because you can always make up for it in the race. Dazzy posts a new fastest lap of a 1:18.1, although we'll expect that to plummet in the later laps. Looking at the DRS indicators there, it looks like both Dazzy and Battles Mini are below 20%, and if you look at the bottom of the screen, that will be correct. These two battling hard, and Dazzy knows he has to try and open that gap, and Battle Mini is just trying to stay right in behind him. He knows he doesn't have to overtake as long as he keeps it on the black stuff. Mr. Basil, I haven't given this man credit yet. He's running P4. Now, we all know I got very excited the last time Mr. Basil finished P4, but if he's qualifying P4, puts him in pretty good nick for a podium, I think, you know. He's got King's Home kind of breathing down his neck. He's been catching him lap after lap. So expect them two to be battling on track at some point. Friar Tuck has peeled into the pit lane after that front wing damage, so that is great. But we're keeping an eye on Mr. Basil. I'm a big fan of Mr. Basil. You know, he joined the league and he's like, oh, I don't think I'm that great, mate. And I was like, mate, nah, you're unreal. And look at him, he's in P4. Duh. I should be a scout. Someone give me a job. Give me a job. Anyone watching working F1, give me a job as a scout. I'm good at that. I mean, I'll work for free. As long as we go to the races, I'm happy enough. But we'll go back to these guys at the front as they go side by side towards turn 1. Oh, it seems that Battles Mini had that move comfortably done with the DRS. Dazzy had no ERS to defend that move. Should get the DRS again, I believe. Yes, he does, so it should protect him pretty well into turn 2, although Dazzy's looking very racy. But I think he's sort of trying to play the smart game here and think more about the actual race than the sprint quali at the moment. King David and King's Home having a battle at the moment. King David just pushing Joe slightly wide there, but we all know that's a tight section of track, so it's hard to navigate when you're side by side too. But I just want to keep an eye on Dazzy and Battles Mini at the minute, because Dazzy is going to be getting this. He's in the DRS. We could be looking at a move down into turn 1 here at the moment as well. So any of you guys watching, feel free to leave me a comment, slag me off. I'm down for it. Roast me. I like a real roast. I like a bit of interaction. Battles Mini posts the fastest lap, and Dazzy doesn't look like he got a great exit there, but he's got DRS assist down that long start-finish straight. Let's see if he thinks about the move. It looks like he's going to think about it anyway. Tucks it up the inside. They're going to go side by side into turn 1, and it's Dazzy who comes off better at the moment. Battles Mini still does not have a penalty at the moment. Robin's kind of holding in behind there. I just realised, Mr. Basil's pit. He's pit from the mediums. He is going to go to the end of those, surely. Merv Martin's come through on Barry as well after that incident at the start of the safety car. He's sitting up in P7 as Robin gets a 3-second time penalty. I would be expecting a lot more before this race is up, penalty wise, because like I said earlier, this track is heavy on the track limits, and it's not kind. King David, of course, one of the cars to have stopped, as well as King's Home. These two are, I suppose, technically in the net lead at the moment. The first two of the drivers that have stopped this race, in front of them is Robin, Battle and Dazzy, but all still need to pit this race. Yellow flag in sector 2 at the moment. Is it Mr. Basil? Mr. Basil's going round. He's not used to the medium tyres, but he's still sitting P8 at the moment. Illy's coming through sector 2 behind him, but I think he's still got a comfortable gap, just so long as he doesn't have damage. But from what I can tell, I think he's alright. King David and King's Home have pulled ahead of Battles Mini, but that's because he's jumped in the pits for the medium tyres. So he's going to be chasing down the guys in front as King David gets another warning. I think that's his second. It's only his first. And Lucas on those hards is now looking at great nick for the win here. Pitting under that safety car may prove to have been vital at winning this sprint race as well. So I'd be expecting to see Dazzy come into the pits this lap. I'd say Battle's going to get a bit of an undercut on him. I would be expecting him to come out somewhere between 5th and 7th at the minute. Maybe battling on the exit, unless he decides to go long here as he comes into the stadium section. Now the only driver to not yet have pit, so expect him to peel in this lap, I'd say, as he comes in. So let's see. We'll keep an eye on Battle. The guy he was battling on track up until the last lap, although Battle looks like he's going to get quite a significant undercut at the minute. I don't think he got held up too much in that lap out. Dazzy looks like he's in the pit box at the minute, and Battle's coming around the last corner. It's looked like he's going to get quite a significant jump. Did he serve his penalty? He served his penalty, so we were looking at maybe he's going to come out after Robin. Mr. Basil's there's quite a big gap there, so at least he comes out in clean air. May give him a chance to attempt that fastest lap, although it doesn't stand for anything during the sprint race, of course. Just for pride, I suppose is the way to put it. But top 10 at the minute. King David leads the way with a 3-second time penalty, with King's Home behind also with a 3-second time penalty. Lucas A. Germany on those hard tyres just needs to hold on to that gap. If he can hold on to the back of King's Home, he'll be in great nick for the race, starting on pole position, and we've seen this man's pace before. Quite a well-rounded driver at tyre management, pace, even qualifying pace. He's just one of the top drivers, so that will put him in great nick. But as Illy gets a time penalty as well, like I said, just keep an eye on the time between Lucas and Battle, because Battle's obviously on those fresh mediums, and he's going to be, I suppose, kind of maybe held up behind King's Home. I'd expect that time to start dropping, as there's already a couple of tenths gained by Battle, but we'll keep an eye on it. Dazzy still has his 3-second penalty. I'm not sure if he had wing damage maybe in the pit lane there. I didn't really get a look at it, but he's going to be wanting to try and chase down the guys in front, Robin and Merv Martin. Merv is sitting in P5 at the moment. Currently a reserve driver for Monday, it seems to be, but full time here on Thursday in the Toyota. We'll see if Robin wants to think about a move down here in the DRS straight. Merv puts it right in the middle of the track, but the speed advantage from Robin is, and they're right side by side. And that very tight section of track, Robin feels like he has to take a bit of evasive action, but I think there was enough room there. Friar gets a 5-second penalty for this pit lane, promotes Shugs up to P10 at the moment. These guys making their way through Sector 2. Of Yellow Fly, I think Friar Tuck has retired from the sprint, but he will still be in P11 for the main race. Friar Tuck has left the session, interestingly. Hopefully we can get him back in. Lucas, I'm just looking there. Lucas has managed to get himself ahead of King's Home at the moment. On those old hards. How old are those tyres? 8-lap hards versus 8-lap mediums. I'd say at this stage the mediums still should have a pace advantage, but King's Home has got DRS. Makes it dive up the inside, but it seems that Lucas has been saving his battery better, because King's Home has not got a lot left. Well, it's quite similar, I suppose. But of course, Lucas doesn't have that flashing indicator on the back of his car at the minute. King David's pulling out quite a comfortable gap now. Lucas gets a 3-second time penalty, so it will promote King David to P1 at the minute. I told you to watch that gap. The Battle's mini at the minute, it's 6 seconds. He's gaining time rapidly, so if he can get in that gap behind King's Home, that'll promote him up well into possibly P2 if he stays with Lucas as well. But can he pull that 3 seconds down with 5 laps to go, 6 laps to go, 5 laps to go? If my maths, as we know, it hasn't improved. Ellie gets another penalty at the minute, so drivers without a penalty, I suppose we should talk about that, is Battle's Mini, and my hero, Mr. Basil. He's 11 seconds off the back of Robin at the minute. If he can pull that in, Dazzy's pit, someone's pit. Merv and Dazzy having a right little battle. I thought they were pitting. Ellie's pit, that's what I've seen. I've seen someone come in and he's pitting in the pit lane. He's retiring at the minute. Hopefully he'd stay for the race though, because I'm starting to get concerned. at the minute, but that should, well, as long as Shugs makes the next couple of corners anyway, should ensure that he's going to be P9 at the moment. Yellow flags are just for Illy in the pits, of course. So Mr. Basel currently sitting in P8 as I was talking there. It doesn't have any penalties. I suppose the point is we can't see the splits anymore because the timing screens have glitched, but if he can pull that gap down to Robin, he don't need to bring it down to less than 3 seconds as long as he can keep it in the black stuff. Could be looking alright here. Time screens are starting to come back as the drivers cross the start-finish line. Battles Mini has demolished that gap between Lucas and Kingsholm. Those two guys battling each other is not doing them any favours at the minute. One of them needs to break away from the other, or Battles is going to be looking comfortable for even potentially P1. King David has that 3 seconds of course too, but I think it will be a bit of an ask to pull an 8-second gap in what? 5 laps, 4 laps, 4.5. Quick Maz. But we'll see. The guy's proven that he's got pace, and if he can keep it consistent without the penalties, you never know. Anything's possible. So it's all starting to settle down a bit. The only real battle on track at the moment is between these two guys who are still holding each other up. I'd expect a move from Lucas into turn 1. Of course, any one of these guys gets another penalty, it will demolish their chances in the race. They'll drop quite consistently. If one of them gets a 3-second penalty, it might drop them. Well, if Kingsholm does, it's going to drop them 3 positions. If Lucas does, it's going to drop them 3 positions. Dazzy's just on the cusp of them there as well. Merv Martin's still keeping with Dazzy at the moment, of course, but his tyres have been... He's basically pit from the start of the safety car. We had that strange incident with him into the pit lane. He mustn't have had his tyres properly heated on the restart. Let's have a look at these guys again. They're still battling it out, and Battles Mini is now within that penalty range. He needs to clear these guys quickly and disappear to have a chance at catching King David. Gap to King David at the minute, currently in around 8.1 seconds. See that? I can't do Maz. Oh, you guys slagging me about my Maz. No, can't do it. But that's a big ask. It's a big ask. Dazzy gets a second penalty. That's gotta be hurt. Oh, that's gotta hurt. It's looking that it'll just drop behind Merv as Merv gets a penalty. We could see a couple more before this race is up. That gives Robin a lot of hope. If he can pull that 1.5 seconds back on Merv Martin, he could be looking good. These 3 guys going into the stadium though, they're going through side by side. Battles Mini has managed to get... Battles Mini has managed to get Kingsholm right on his gearbox. And with the DRS, surely into turn 1. Those fresh tyres, but we know Kingsholm can put up a pretty hefty defence, so let's have a look and see. Still sitting there. Now, we're supposed to watch Lucas as we go down onto the second DRS straight. Let's say we could have maybe a 3-wide moment here into one of the tightest sectors of the track. Kingsholm putting up a fairly hefty defence. This is pretty much cementing King David's pole position at the moment. As he gets another penalty, that's going to cut him down. That's going to be a big blow. Could drop him as far as P6 at the minute if Merv manages to stay there. Lucas manages to get around him. No further penalties at the moment, but that's going to be a big blow to Kingsholm. It could drop him, as I said, down to P6 if Merv can get a move on those tyres. Although a very big ask off him there. Lucas starting to open up a gap again to Kingsholm, and Kingsholm starting to battle with Dazzy behind, both on 6 seconds worth of penalties. Battles Mini is not taking any risks here. He doesn't want to get involved in this fight. At the minute he's still going to be in P2 if he can just hold on for 2 more laps. Mr. Basel still comfortably P8. Shug's Life behind. Quite a hefty gap. I think he had an incident though in the middle of the race. But this man, we've seen him put on a dominant display. Coming into the stadium section for the last time. Battles Mini gets 3 seconds. That's not going to help his cause at the minute. He's running in P5, but he should still cement P3 as long as Lucas, or as long as he doesn't get another penalty. And everyone behind him seems to be quite a safe gap there, but Lucas at the minute, Lucas gets a penalty. The penalties are coming into play now as we enter the last lap. These 3 drivers, Lucas on the oldest tyres, anyone can take second place at the minute. King David's probably cemented P1, but these guys are going to go down into turn 1 now. I'm expecting a move, a couple of moves. Dazzy thinking about a move there in Kingsholm. Lucas just needs to stay out of trouble, and he's still get the P2 position, but he's definitely going to do it the hard way, so he's draining every bit of energy he has out of that battery. As are most of these guys. They've all drained everything apart from Merv Martin behind. But if he's going to improve, he's going to need to get a move on past Battles and maybe have a go at Dazzy. Going into sector 2 now. Lucas still in front, running a bit wide there though. Kingston's not looking like he's going to be able to make a move. I don't think any of these guys are going to, unless it's going to be a really ballsy move into the stadium. Kingston thought about it, runs deep and lets Dazzy run through. King David crosses the line. He'll start in pole position. Lucas. Battles Mini manages to clinch P2 from the rest of the guys. Those penalties proving crucial. Kingsholm with that late lunge has dropped to P5. Mr. Basel getting himself a penalty right at the end. He just wanted to join the gang. But quite a hectic sprint there at the end. Between P2 to P6. Crazy sprint, crazy sprint. But now we'll move on to the full length race. Kingsholm getting driver of the day. Of course, we remember he got disqualified from quali. Managing to pull himself back to P5, so could have been P2, could have been P3, but it's a lot better than P13. So let's run down the grid. The 2 Monster Energy cars proving that they have got a lot in their tank. King David starts on pole with Battles Mini in P2. Lucas and Dazzy on the second row of the grid, P3 and 4. Kingsholm P5 after starting P13 with Merv Martin alongside. Started P1, but that unfortunate incident with the safety car seems to have cost him here in the sprint. Robin moves up to P7 and Mr. Basel from P10 to P8. Shug's Life ends up P9 with Illy in P10. Q-Mancer and Lewis didn't even make it off the start. Someone didn't get away. Big incident off the start, so we're going to have to watch for those guys during the race. Friar Tuck, I believe, will not be rejoining us. So, we're going to go into the full race now and get a bit of excitement going. The full Grand Prix. Let's see if the start's as exciting as the finish was. Just having a look there at the Discord. Lewis says he really enjoyed watching that race. Let's hope he enjoys it just as much actually racing in it. So as we get the grid set up, guys, we're down to 10 drivers now. We're missing a couple of people. Let's see if we can get those guys back in. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little pause. We're going to pause the stream. We'll be right back with the full length race once we get everything up and going again. And we will talk to you soon.